What's good, YouTube? This is Licious Kid from Climaxcombo, and we are back with another Leaks of the Week. This week we are continuing off with Nisekoi, Little Busters, Persona Q, and the Capo extra boosters. Nisekoi does come out next week, and the other three extra boosters come out 2 weeks from then on the 5th of September, if I recall correctly. So yeah, this week has a lot of very interesting cards for Nisekoi and Persona Q, in my opinion. And Little Busters, yeah, every set has some pretty cool cards leaked this week, so I hope you guys look forward to it. And with that out of the way, I think I'll just get right to it. First off is this 3-2 Tachibana, one of the very first of many interesting cards to come. 3-2 Tachibana, 10k, double R, police and key as per usual. So what Tachibana does is when she's played from hand to stage, you can heal. You know, heals right off the bat, it's not bad. However, her climax combo is pretty crappy in my opinion. First of all, she combos with the pants right here, the 1k 1 soul climax common. And what she does is when she attacks with the pants, you can draw two, then discard two cards, and then this gains the following ability until the end of your opponent's turn. The card directly opposite of this loses one soul. Um, Pretty bad. I mean, it heals, so it's already somewhat playable, but honestly, the climax combo is pretty lackluster. First of all, it combos off with the pants. Pants, not the greatest of climaxes, you know, it kind of depends on your set. Of course, Ilya, pants is good, they're totally dependent on it. However, stuff like, you know, Log Horizon, it's okay in Log Horizon just because you can grab the gate again, and the gate is quite devastating. But still, in every, you know, most sets, it doesn't really work out, and Nisekoi is no exception. You know, so far what we have seen, there's not a lot of very good climax combos. None of the level threes have a really strong climax combo. The only one that climax combo so far is the Chitoge we've seen earlier in the first week. Honestly, that climax combo is not that great either. So, you know, I don't think there's really a point in running pants in the first place. And this climax combo in itself is not that great. You only break even because you draw two cards and then you discard two cards. So in the end, you don't even get to plus, and in the end, she only gains minus one soul in front. You know, I'm sure many of you guys know this, but minus one soul is kind of a double-edged sword. Usually doesn't work out for you because, you know, minus one soul allows your opponent to go for precise damage. You know, if they attack with a two soul beater in front of your level three, which is more, which is very high chance that it's going to happen, they deal one damage to you. Yes, you take one less damage, but the one damage that you are taking can lead to for them to do more precise damage. Like if you're like at 3-0, you know, shit happens, and then all of a sudden you're at 3-6, and then they go for one, and then you lose, or you know, then you have a higher chance of losing because they're only dealing one instead of two. You know, stuff like that happens all the time. Or so even, you know, sometimes you're even like at 3-3. They attack your Tachibana, you take the one. Next turn you draw. Oh, you drew into a gate. You would have canceled if you weren't taking minus one soul. If you didn't have the minus one soul in front. However, because of the minus one soul, you took one extra damage that you weren't supposed to, and you drew into a climax. And as of right now, Nisekoi's climax combos are not that great. So, honestly, Tachibana, not that great. Combos with the pants not that strong. You only break even, and she doesn't even gain any power off this. She could have at least gained like 3 or 4k. I know you mean? I mean, like, why not? At least let her live, because she's still only a wimpy 10k base. So in general, Tachibana pretty bad. The only, you know, I don't really see her being played in the best Nisekoi builds. I think the 3-2 Chitoge healer is by far better because that one is pseudo game ender and it's not climax combo reliant, and it uh yeah, it's not climax combo reliant, pseudo game ender, and it heals. Does everything that Tachibana does, but better. So unfortunately, Tachibana sucks. Next up is this red pendant of promise. Yeah, so now red has a pendant of promise, and this is what it is. Super happy about this one. This is exactly what I was hoping for. A couple weeks ago, me and Checkers were talking about what the red pendant of promise should be, and it's exactly what I was hoping it to be. So it's 1/1 uncommon event. Place two of your characters from stand to rest. If two characters are rested this way, choose up to two characters from your waiting room, return them to your hand, then discard one card. Place this card into memory. So it's essentially Madoka's 2/1 red event, and I'm sure many of you guys do know that event is pretty good. Lets you hand filter, it's a really strong hand filter, and this Pendant of Promise is by far no exception. Of course, it does have its downside of resting two characters, and as we have seen so far, Nisekoi is very dependent on resting its back row. So if you do play this event for the turn, you are unable to rest your back row. But I think it's makes it fair because this you can use this card as early as level 1, and this card does send itself to memory. So in general, I think this card is very good and is totally playable. Yeah, so I think with this now released, I think I'm going to run 3 blue Pendants of Promise and 1 red Pendant of Promise. The blue one being the 3K backup, and then one of this red Pendant of Promise. I think that's a pretty good one. Or you could go 2 and 2, 2 blue, 2 red. It's totally player's preference, but like I said, this card is super playable in any Nisekoi deck, in my opinion. Super happy. Anyways, let's go on. Next up is this 1-0 Mari, 5/5, common. This is from Persona Q. Her trait is Poem and God. Interesting traits. I don't know if any other um, Persona cards have these. I'm not too familiar with Persona, like I said in the last video. Probably Elizabeth and Margaret are God. I'm not too sure. But anyways, let's go on. I think this card is pretty cool. Anyways, when you have 1 or less climax in your waiting room, you cannot play this card from your hand, which you will see why, because what she does is she's a brainstormer. You can pay 1, mill top 4, and place them into waiting room. For every climax amongst those cards, this gains plus 15 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. I think this card is playable because at worst it's a 1-0 5/5 vanilla. Yeah, it does have this downside, but honestly, I don't really think it's a downside because at level 1, you usually do have 1 climax in your waiting room because of, when you mulligan, you discarded 1, or you clocked 1, or you canceled at least once. There's a lot of things happened, and it's really easy to get 1 climax in your waiting room, at least by level 1. And I think the brainstorm is pretty good because it's plus 15 until the end of your opponent's turn. Mari's already sitting at a respectable 1-0 5/5. But then if you hit 1, then she becomes a 1-0 7K, which is already pretty good. She's pretty much a 1-0 she's pretty much a 1-1 vanilla at that point, but she brainstorms you. And if you hit 2, then she's a 1-0 8/5. Pretty good. So in general, I think this mod is playable. I don't know if it's going to be played because they already have like pretty good plus brainstorms. They have the Yukiko one, the one you tap 2, mill 4, and then you salvage for however many you hit. I think the Aegis one is a clock brainstorm, the one in the Ultimate Arena extra booster. Not too sure. I'm pretty sure it is though, but yeah, I'm not too familiar with spammable brainstorms for Persona, but I do think this is a totally playable one. Yeah, I think this is definitely playable. So you can probably run this along with the Yukiko one and have a good time. Next up is this Komari. I think this card is pretty cool. It's 3/2 Komari, 10k. This is only an R because of course it is an extra booster and 2 soul. Sweets and Fairy Tale. So what she does is she heals. And next she has another effect. When this card declares an attack, you may discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, this card gains plus 3k in the following ability until the end of the turn. When the damage of this card is cancelled, you may deal 1 to your opponent. So essentially getting Flare Trigger. I actually really like this card. I think it's really cool. It heals, which is already good. However, Little Busters does have anti-heal, but, doesn't matter. Heal is still good. And it has a pseudo game ender. It's not Climaxcombo reliant. It's quite heavy because you do have to discard 2 cards from your hand. However, if discarding 2 cards from your hand is going to win the game, help you win the game, but by all means, it is worth it. It gains plus 3k and it gains Flare Trigger. It's essentially like the level 3 Rin in the anime booster, except non-Climaxcombo reliant. The only difference is that you have to discard an extra one because, the Little Busters Rin one, you have to play the Flare Trigger. That's already -1 in hand size. But the Komari, you have to discard 2, so you only discard an extra 1 more to gain Komari's effect. Yeah, in general, I think this Komari is really good. I don't know how... it's yellow, so a lot of Little Busters builds are already running yellow because of the new 1-0 Rin from the Little Busters Reframe set. I see every Little Busters deck play that card. That card is too powerful. The 1-0 Rin that comes with the 2k1. I'm sure Little Busters players know what I'm talking about, but yeah, I mean, yellow's already pretty staple now in Little Busters, so this Komari is a game ender, non-Climaxcombo reliant, and it heals. So by all means, I think this Komari is super good and playable. Only problem is his traits. Sweets and Fairy Tale. Don't know a lot of good cards that synergize with the Sweets and Fairy Tale trait in Little Busters. However, I do think people will learn how to, manage this Komari into their decks. So overall, Komari, sick card. Sick card. Super good. I like it a lot. And it's pretty sexy. Anyway, let's go on. Next one is the Capo 104KR, red. She's Magic and Disciplinary Committee Blick. What she does is when this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may pay one, or you may discard a card from your hand, excuse me. If you do, choose one Magic or Banana character from your waiting room and return it to your hand. I didn't even know Banana was a trait in Wise. What the hell? Anyways, what else this does is you can place one of your characters with Assist ability to rest. If you do, this card gains plus 1k until the end of the turn. So it's not bad if you do manage to reverse something because you get to do a free hand filter, which is always pretty nice. Only real problem is that she's only a 104k. Really weak. Even level 1s or even level 0s, can pose a threat to her. However, of course, her second ability does help her reverse things because you can tap a character with Assist in its name to rest, and she gets plus 1k. If you have two of those, she can be a 106k on attacking. Not bad. However, are you running cards with Assist? Because the Capo has such a large card pool, I'm sure they have some pretty strong global supports. And global supports don't actually have the text Assist in them. So it depends on if you're running cards with Assist in them to actually help you with this card. And, I don't know how strong the Magic or Banana trait is. I'm sorry to say, I haven't played against much the Capo myself, to be honest, so I don't really know what they have to offer. So this card is pretty much dependent on, do they have good assist cards with Assist in their names, and are the Magic and Banana traits actually strong and worthwhile. But, in the end of the day, I don't think this card is still very good, just because her base power is far too weak for her to accomplish much. At the beginning of level 1, this card can be fairly useful. However, mid-level 1, and after that, it's going to be quite difficult for you to get her effect off. And, if you do put in a lot of work to get her effect off, all you really do get in the end is a free hand filter, which is, nice. But I'm sure to Capo's vast card pool, I'm sure there are better cards that outshine this. So, in general, not really too sure what to say about this card. If you guys do know, then let me know. Next up, Tuesdays. Man, Mondays. 12 minutes already? Jesus. Anyways, next up is Tuesday's League. This is very interesting what Bushiroad decided to do. So I'm sure a couple weeks ago you guys have seen the leaked level 3s for Nisekoi. And the leaked level 3, Tsugumi, looked like this. And okay, so what this card does. First I'll explain what this card is. 3/2/9/5 double R 2 soul. It heals, or she's weapon, and she heals. And what she does is when she's played from hand to stage, okay, my bad. So she played from hand to stage, she heals, and she gets 500 for every other weapon or lady character you control. This effect was originally supposed to be this level 3's effect. However, I don't know if it's a misprint by Bushiroad's part when they printed the magazine, or they just decided to change it. I'm assuming they decided to change it. So what this level 3 had, what was supposed to be this level 3's effect, is now this level 3 Tsugumi's effect. Doesn't really change much, it just changes the color of what this card was originally supposed to be. But now this card is in yellow, and honestly, like I said in the leaked level 3 video, if you guys have not seen that, I'll put a link to that in the description below. If you guys have not seen that video, I've already said that card, or this card, sucks balls. Because it's a undersized 9/5, but it gains 500 per weapon or lady character. I'm sure you guys have noticed that weapon, essentially this only works for Tsugumi and Chitoge. And as we have seen so far, the Tsugumi cards are very lackluster, and the Chitoge cards, some of them are pretty good. However, what we have seen so far, you're gonna be using Tachibana, Onodera, and Chitoge. So I don't really ever see this Tsugumi reaching her 11/5 base that she can truly be, because I don't ever see you accomplishing a full field of weapon and lady characters, just because the weapon cards suck and there's not that many good Chitoge cards, and your deck is going to be consisting of a lot of different girls, including Onodera and Tachibana, which does not actually pump her. So, doesn't change. This card still sucks, in my opinion. And the only real downside is that it makes yellow even crappier because now this is another yellow level 3. And like I said, I don't think the Chitoge level 3 from the first what we saw in the first week is that good. And this card makes yellow even less appealing to run because now both of yellow or all three of yellow's level 3 sucks, both being Raku, Chitoge, and this Sugumi. So in general, yellow is looking less and less appealing. Next up is this 001K common Sugumi. She combos with this flare trigger right here. What she does is during your turn, all your characters gain plus 500 power. Cool. What else she does is she combos with the flare trigger. When you play the flare trigger, you can pay 1. If you do, choose one of your characters to gain plus 4k until the end of the turn. Once again, flare trigger. Honestly, not that great. First of all, it's only zeros. It's a weapon trait, so it doesn't really work with all the key synergy. Second of all, the 500 global is only during your turn. We've already seen the 00 Raku. That card is 500 global all the time, and that card lets you hand filter and let you grab the Pendant of Promise. Pretty strong 500 global support. However, this Sugumi is only 500 during your turn. It's not a key trait, and it combos with the flare trigger. Flare trigger, not the greatest of climaxes. Can be pretty clutch at level 3, but only at level 3 is it really clutch. And yeah, in general, not that good because combo itself is pretty crappy anyways because you have to pay 1 and all you really give is a 4k pump. Cool, but not good enough. Next up, more Persona Q cards. 00 Yukiko, common, 1k, fan, and magic. So all your fan or waifuku, or your other fan or waifuku characters gain plus 500. 500 global for fan decks, or fan trait decks. Pretty good because, the Yukiko decks are based off the level 3 Yukiko, which is totally dependent on the fan trait. And then her other effect is you can place this card to rest, choose one of your opponent's character instead, and put it to rest. Not too sure how strong the second effect is. I don't know if there's like cards in Persona that is dependent on your opponent's character's field to be rested. If so, I guess this card can be quite useful. However, this card alone being a 500 global for fan decks, I think it's already pretty good. So if you're running a Yukiko based deck, I think this card is totally playable because it's a 500 global. So yeah, good card, I guess. Not too sure what the fan decks have to offer. If they already have a 500 global, then I guess this card isn't very good. However, I'm not too sure, and it's still a 500 global, so I do think this card is playable. Next up is this 3-2 Aisha, 9-5 R, 2 soul, magic and toy. If you have 3 or more magic characters, it gains plus 1k power, so she'll be a 10-5 base. When she's played from hand to stage or via change, you can heal. And her last effect is when this card is front attack, you may pay cost, which is pay 1, discard a card. If you do, this card gains plus 3-5 power until the end of this turn. Not that great. It heals. That's cool. You can change into it. Pretty nice, but the combo already has a lot of changers, if I do recall correctly. A lot of 2 to 3 changers, I should say, if I recall correctly. 10-5 base, alright. However, her last effect is not that great, to be honest, because when she's front attack, you just pay 1, discard a card. You're essentially making any card in your hand into a 3-5 backup. That's what you're essentially doing with this card, because you still pay 1, you discard a card. Essentially, you're paying 1 for a 3-5 backup. That's cool, I guess, but honestly, after you play her, I'd rather just have her die, so that way you can salvage her to heal again, or just play another level 3 to replace her, because after she's healed, all she really does is sit at a 10-5 base, and just hits for 2 soul, and I'm sure there are other better level 3s than this. So yeah, in general, I think this Aisha is whatever. Next up is Wednesday's leak. 1045 uncommon, green. This Onodera I think is really good. Sweet's key. So she has recollection. When this card declares an attack, if you have a Pendant of Promise in memory, it gains plus 2k until the end of the turn. And she has Clock Encore. Fairly effective, costless beater. Yes, she's only 4-5 on defending. However, she has Clock Encore. And she's 6-5 on offense, assuming you do have a Pendant of Promise in memory, which is totally plausible because, we have the red Pendant of Promise and we have the blue backup Pendant of Promise. And as we have seen so far, the goal by level 2 is to get 2 Pendants of Promise into memory. So that way you can get your level 3 Onodera off at level 2. And I'm sure you would like to get one level or you would like to get one Pendant of Promise off as soon as possible, so that way you can start using the level assist to gain more stock, and you can yeah, use the level assist to gain more stock, and now you have more reasons to get a Pendant of Promise off at level 1, so that way this Onodera can be a 1065 on attack, which is quite powerful. And yeah, so essentially you just keep attacking with her. She's 1065 on offense. Yeah, she's going to die next turn, but who cares? Just clock encore her, and then rinse and repeat. Fairly good way to gain a lot of stock. So in general, this Kosaki is really good, and it's only uncommon, and I'm super happy about this. It is green, which is cool, I guess. Green was pretty lackluster. The only cool green card was the level assist Onodera. However, I guess with this level 1 Onodera, I guess you can manage your colors a bit more. We still have to see good level 0 greens. However, this Onodera does make green more appealing now. Next up is the green Pendant of Promise. Is 1/1 uncommon. I don't think this Pendant of Promise is very good. If you have no key characters, you can play this card from your hand. What this does is when you use it, you can choose one of your characters. It gains plus 3/5 power until the end of the turn, and then place this card into memory. I'm pretty sure this card is until the end of your opponent's next turn. A little small typo, but yeah, this backup works until the end of your opponent's next turn. Because it'd be stupid if it didn't, because there's absolutely no point playing this over the blue one, because the blue one's a backup. But anyways, still not that strong. It lasts until the end of your opponent's next turn. Big whoop. It's a crappier version of Dragon Stream, which is very interesting. The Dragon Stream event in Devil Survivor 2, because that one pumps 4K and it goes into memory. However, this one only pumps 3/5 and it goes into memory, and the Dragon Stream event is a bond target. Whatever, that's just me rambling. Still, this Pendant of Promise not that great. I rather have the utility of the blue one and the utility of the red Pendant of Promise. So in general, I think this Pendant of Promise is pretty bad, and I don't think the best builds are going to be running this green Pendant of Promise. However, with this, now every color does have a Pendant of Promise. The yellow has one, blue has one, green has one, and red has one. Pretty cool. Anyways, another interesting card is the 3/2 Onodera double R, 10k, 2 soul, sweets and key as per usual. What this does is when she's played from hand to stage or via change, you can heal. When she's played from hand to stage, place one of your key characters in stand to rest. Really? Wow, I just realized that. That's pretty bad. Anyways, her last effect is when this card declares an attack and you have to climax your only Juliet, search your deck for 2 key characters, show them to your opponent, add them to your hat, shuffle your deck. They have not shown us what your only Juliet climax is, so this Climaxcombo I cannot really give a proper evaluation of. However, her other effects I can. Oh, wait, first I'll go over his changer, my bad. First off, it's the changer itself is 2/1, backup 2k. Sweets key, it's an R. First of all, it's a 3k backup. And its other effect is, it's a climax phase change. You can pay to discard a card. If you do, send this card into waiting room, and then get the level 3 Onodera from your waiting room and put it onto this border that this was in. So yeah, essentially it's pretty much a vanilla climax phase change. It doesn't do anything on play like the Chitoge one, and it's only a 3k backup. First off, this card I don't think is very good, because we already have the blue Pendant of Promise. I'm pretty sure you're going to be rocking at least like 2 or 3 of those. So you don't really need the green one. I mean, I guess you can, because this one is salvageable. However, still, that's, I guess, player's preference. The climax phase change being the heaviest change in the game. And this one's by no exception. It's a total of pay 3, discard a card. Pretty heavy, and honestly, why pay a heavy change when you can just play the level 3 Onodera, the blue one, because that one's only pay 2, and you get to plus, and that one's a 10/5 base. This one, sure, you get to heal, but, that's like, you're still paying quite a lot for the heal, and I'd rather have the 3/2 Onodera, the blue one that we saw a couple weeks ago, because it's by far lighter, and it does search you a card from your deck and add it to your hand. And this card's second effect is quite bad. When she's played for hand to stage, place one of your key characters in stand to rest, as we have seen, and like I said multiple times, Nisekoi is quite dependent on its back row being from a lot of cards have to stand rest both of the characters to rest. The brainstorm, the 1/1 event, the level assist, etc., etc., the level 3 Chitoge. So placing one of them from stand to rest just to play this healer, pretty bad because then you can't use all your other awesome effects. However, that might be because this climax is, I assume he's going to be pretty boss. I'm assuming your only Juliet is going to be a treasure climax because we've already seen the 2K1, that's for Sugumi, the level 2. We've seen the +2 soul one, that's already for the other Sugumi, the level 1. And we have not seen the treasure climax yet. So I'm assuming that your only Juliet is going to be treasure. So the climax combo is okay because you play the treasure, you add 2 key characters and put them to your hand. So you do +1, you compress your deck by 2, and it prepares you later for the game. And it's costless, which I guess is why it has its downside. However, I just don't really like this card because if you're gonna play this card, I don't think you should be running the change because I don't think any of the changes in Nisekoi is worth running now that we have the level 3 Onodeta, the blue one. I think that one's a lot better. So yeah, we have the blue Onodeta, so I don't think the change is very good. The stat place from hand to placing one of your key characters to rest, I think is quite painful because you can't use Chitoge. I've already said, and yeah, I guess the treasure climax or the climax combo is okay, but I don't think it's worth running. So in general, this Onodeta not very good in my opinion. Next up is more Little Busters, 1025R, Saya. Assist, all your characters run these gains +500. And its other effect is place 2 of your characters to rest. Choose one of your characters against the following ability until the end of the turn. When this card reverses a level 1 or greater opponent in battle, you may return one character from the waiting room to your hand. If you do, discard a card. Essentially, it gives you a free hand filter if you successfully reverse a character in battle every turn. Of course, this character does have to be level 1 or greater. This card is okay. The only real problem is that it's level 1. It's still under the 3k threshold, so it gets raped by Wingslayer. And yeah, it's honestly not that bad. It's a free hand filter. Little Busters does have a level 1 Suicider, so you can kind of guarantee this effect going off every turn, assuming your opponent does not have a plus level assist, because you can just place 2 of your characters to rest, target the level 1 Suicider, and then get your free hand filter. Still, honestly, I think Little Buster's card pool is better than this and can offer more than the Saya. So, actually, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure. They don't really have to place a lot of the cards back row to rest. I think the Saya is not bad. As a card alone, I think the Saya is pretty good. But like I said, I'm not really a Little Busters player, so I don't really know how powerful, if Little Busters have better cards than this. But as a standalone card, I think this card is alright. And it's playable, I guess. Next up is this 2/1 Aisha that actually combos with the level 3. Like I said, this level 3 does have a changer, and this is the changer into the level 3. And this changer is quite interesting. It combos with the Flare trigger, and what this does is, so it's 2/1 7k common, Magic and Toy. During the start of your Encore phase, if you have the Flare, and this card is in the front row, you can choose one of your other level 2 or lower characters and place it into memory. If you do, during the start of your next draw phase, place that character from your memory to any border on your stage, and that card gains +6/5 power until the end of the turn. And what this card does is it's a Encore phase change. During the start of your Encore phase, if this card is in rest, you can pay 1, discard a card. If you do, get the level 3 out, and then place it to the border of this card. I think this Climax combo is fairly interesting. It combos with Flare. Like I said, Flare is kind of niche, only really cool at level 3, but besides that, it's not that great. However, the Climax combo is actually kind of cool because it's kind of like a Time Machine Miku, except it's for any of your characters, because you play the Climax, you attack, you choose one of your level 2 or lowers, plays into memory. That essentially guarantees that the level 2 is going to survive, and you get to change into level 3, which allows you to heal. And then during the start of your next turn, your level 2 comes back, it's 6/5, it's essentially going to destroy anything, and yeah, from there you just have a good time. However, Like I said, I don't know. I don't think this level 3 on its own is very good. It combos with the Flare. Flare is only really cool at level 3, and I don't know if yellow's even that good for Decapo, so I don't even know if this card merits running yellow in Decapo builds. Most of them I see are like blue and red, and I guess green, I guess. No, I mainly see blue and red, I believe, but yeah, so I don't know how powerful yellow is, and don't think this combo is powerful enough to, convince players to run yellow. However, I still think it's cool, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's, worth running. Not too sure what the couple has to offer. Like I said, I'm sorry guys, not really the couple player, but yeah, I think it's cool climax, but don't think it's gonna be ran. But I could totally be wrong. Next up, Thursday's League. Oh man, this video is very long. We're only on Thursday. Oh, so much to say. Anyways, uh, next up, more. Oh yeah, no, Thursdays, freaking bomb ass leaks. Anyways, Thursday, 1-0 Chitoge uncommon, 4K, Lady and Key as per usual. So she's 500 global for key characters. And her other effect is when you have 2 or more pendants of promise and memory, this card gains the effect of assist characters in front of this gain plus 500 power. I think this card is pretty cool. It's a 500 global, and when you get 2 pendants of permanence into memory, which is your goal, then this card becomes even better because it becomes a 1k in front and then a 500 to the other side. That's not in front of it, which is quite powerful. Can make your characters quite a nuisance to deal with. And this is only a 1-0. And her stats are not bad herself. So when you do place her into the front row, she's still a respectable 4k. So your opponent does have to commit a level 1 into killing this. If you guys know what I mean. But still, I think this card's good because it's a 5G global, and then later into the game it becomes a 1k in front for it becomes a 1k in front. So I think this card is pretty good, and it's it's Chitoge, and I'm totally biased, so I think this card is great because it's Chitoge. No, I'm just kidding, but I like Chitoge, so happy that Chitoge actually got some decent cards, and this is one of them. I think this card is totally playable. I think this card's totally playable. I guess it just depends on your build, because as of right now, I see the Raku being used, the 0-0 Raku, and the level assist Onodera. That might just be the level, I don't know. If you run those PRs, though, then maybe you don't have to run the Raku, and you could just run this Chitoge. I don't know. I think it's players' preference on what assist lineup they're going to use. However, I do think this Chitoge is quite playable. Next up is this Suicider, which I think is really good. 0015, it is an R. So, Lady and Key. So, first of all, she's a level 0 Suicider. And her other effect is during the start of your opponent's attack phase, you can move this card to an empty border. You can move this card to an empty border on your center stage. See, you guys even see from my Google Chrome thing. Chitoge. Anyways. Yeah. This card only runs to the middle border on your center stage. It doesn't move to any border. Just another small typo, but still. So it moves to a middle border, because if this card can move to any border on the stage, this card would just be completely broken. However, this card, is quote-unquote fairly balanced because it only runs to the center of your front row. Still, think it's quite powerful because your opponent has to commit 2 cards into killing this. And if they do want to kill it, they still have to trade because you have to, it's a Suicider, so it's still a trade. And they can't use level 1, they can't use level 0s that gain +1 level to kill this because this card is just going to run. Because cards that are level 0 and gain +1 level usually have to be alone. Usually, there are some exceptions to this, like the 00 Kirito and the 00 Nico from Love Live. Those cards have to be all alone. So you can't commit 2 cards if you're trying to use a +1 level 0 to kill this, because it's just going to run to the other stage, to the middle. And yeah, if they do want to kill it, they have to commit 2 cards, and they're still going to lose 1 in the end because this card, is just a Suicider. So in general, I think this Chitoge is really good. Doesn't really scale into the late game because, you're not going to really be able to run to the middle. But still, this Chitoge I think is really good. And just a really good level 0 in my opinion. People are saying, oh, but it only runs to the center. But hey, it's still a pseudo runner, and it's a suicider. So by all means, I think I'm just super happy about this card, and it's Shitoge. So what more do we need? Anyways, let's go on. Next up is another pretty good Shitoge card. It's a 1045R, Lady and Key. Recollection: if you have a Pendant Promise in your memory, this card gains plus 2k. So it's a 1065 if you have one Pendant Promise in your memory, which is more than likely going to happen. Pretty good card. Costless 1065. Can't get any better than that, to be honest. Yeah, all I can say is it's a really good card. Don't know what else to say about this. The only real downside to this card is that it is yellow. And as we have seen so far, yellow is not that great. The only really good yellow cards we have seen so far is like the 1/1 Hand Encore and this card. And honestly, we haven't seen like any good level 0 yellows. So, yeah. Is this card worth running yellow for? Who knows? You know, we still have the 1/0 Onodeta that can be 6/5 on offense, but it does have the Clock Encore. However, this one's always 1065, but it does not have any Encore. So if it dies, it dies. However, Onodeta stays forever, essentially. So still, these two quite debatable on what you're gonna choose. However, you know, yeah, these two are debatable of which one you want to play, but this one is yellow. So I'm leaning more towards the Onodeta at this point because it's green, which is unfortunate, but we'll see how good yellow is once the entire set comes out. But still, I don't think yellow is going to be ran. Unfortunate. Anyways, next up is this level 3 Minato, or I should say P3 protagonist from Persona Q, and I actually really like this card. I think it's cool. It's 3/2, 10k, it's R's, 2 soul, it heals. It combos with the Wind Trigger, which also the P4 protagonist level 0 combos with. Thank you for the guy who told me about that. Yeah. Anyways, combos with the Wind Trigger, just like the P4 protagonist. And what this does is when this attacks with the Wind Trigger, this card gains plus 1k and plus 1 soul, and following effect until the end of the turn. When this attack is cancelled, deal 1 to your opponent. Essentially, it's Flare Trigger, but combos. You need the Wind Trigger for it to activate. I like this card. The level 3 Rin from Little Busters. A lot of people are running that now because yellow is quite powerful, and this card is by means no exceptions. Only difference is that this card gains plus 1k and plus 1 soul instead of the plus 3k that Rin does. So when you play the Climax, he'll be 3 soul, and when he attacks, his own effect kicks off, so he'll be 4 soul, 12k base, essentially. The 4 soul doesn't really matter because if your opponent cancels, they do take 1, but you having the more soul might lead them to canceling more. I think the Rin plus 3k is better, but still, the real effect is of course the canceling. But yeah, I think the 3k is better from Rin. However, I still like this card. I think it's cool. Yeah, I think it's cool. Wind Trigger, pretty cool Climax. It gets with every as the game goes on, I value Wind more and more. A lot of new decks are just getting like screwed up by Wind Trigger. Yeah, Wind's powerful Climax. And yeah, a pseudo game ender. Yeah, pseudo game ender. Will this card replace level 3 Labris that people are running as their game enders for Persona? I think it will, but it's yellow and don't really know what's good in yellow. But still, as a standalone card, I think this Minato is fantastic, and I think I think this card is really cool. I like this card a lot. Next up, a not so great card. It's a 0/0 1k Mio. She's Book. When she's played from hand to stage, draw a card, discard a card. Free hand filter, cool. However, it's only 1k Wimpy base, and there are better blue level 0s like the level 0 Riki. That's like $25 at this point. Holy shit! But anyways, I think there are better cards than this that you can be running. So in general, this Mio's whatever. Wow, it's an R. That's stupid. Anyways, whatever. This Mio's not that great. If you like on-play hand filter, then I guess you can run this Mio. But I think Little Buzzers has better card to offer than this. Lastly, Friday's Leak. Oh my god, this is like the longest one yet. Anyways, Friday's Leak, 3/2, 10k, double R2 soul. So this card's effect has actually changed from what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. So what this card does is, it's a weapon. When she's played from hand to stage, you can, or via change, you can draw 2, then discard a card from your hand. And its other effect is during your own turn, when the damage of this card is cancelled, you can pay 1. If you do, this card gains plus 2/5 until the end of your opponent's next turn. The changer is this one. It's 2/1/7KR. When this card is sent from when this card is sent from your stage to the waiting room, you can pay cost, which is place 1 card from your hand to clock. If you do, choose 1 weapon or lady character from your clock and return it to your hand. So it's kind of like a clock swap, but it has to be sent from field to waiting room. But of course, that's easy because this is the changer. Essentially, climax phase change. Like I said, pay 2, discard a card. Like I said, the climax phase changes aren't that great in Nisekoi, in my opinion, because we have the level 3 Onodeta. So yeah, like I said, level 3 Onodeta, much better, much lighter, and it does plus you. This Seshiro, this level 3 Tsugumi on its own, I think it's not that good of a card, because it's, like I said, it's weapon, doesn't synergize with the rest of the deck. Draw 2, ditch 1. I guess that's cool. You do plus 1, but if you want to plus, you might as well play level 3 Onodeta because she searches out any key character from your deck. This lets you draw 2, discard 1. You might draw into a climax, and that lowers your chance of canceling. And as we have seen so far, the climax combos aren't that devastating for Nisekoi. I guess its second effect, it's not that great either. I mean, when this card is damage is cancelled, you pay 1. If you do, this card gains plus 2/5 until the end of your opponent's next turn. The only really cool thing you can do with this card is like play mind games with your opponent. It's like you attack, your opponent backs up before damage is dealt. So if they do like a 3k backup, then now the damage goes through. They take 2 damage. If they cancel, then her effect goes off. Then you can pay 1, and now she's 12. She gains plus 2/5, so she's 12/5 base. If you're stronger than them, then you successfully reverse your opponent, and your opponent backed up for no reason because they backed up for no reason. That's like the only really cool thing about this card is that you can bait your opponent out to backing up, and they don't really know if the backup is worth it because they don't know if they're going to cancel. It's just kind of trolly in my opinion, but still, as fun as that may sound, not worth it. Yeah, it's just not worth it. Only really, screw this Seshiro, it's not that good. And it's, it's only 12/5. Not, I guess it's pretty powerful, but still, in general, this Tsugumi just sucks in my opinion. Unfortunate, all these Tsugumi cards sucks. However, this one's okay. I mean, it's a clock swap. Pretty cool, I guess. I think, if you're running like a Tsugumi Chitoge deck, I guess you can run this. I don't even know. It's not that great either. You can just use the plus 2 Soul Climax from the level 1 Tsugumi if you want to search something. Just getting it from the clock. It's only 2/17k. This card sucks too. In general, these 2 cards suck in my opinion. And lastly, the final leak for Friday is 2/9k uncommon weapon as per usual. Once this card is on the middle border of your center stage, this card gains hand encore. And this card has another effect. All your characters gain the following ability. This card cannot side attack. It has 2 demerits because it's 2/9k, and it has Encore, and it's maxed for 2 soul. It's not that great. I mean, like I said, the level 2 game for Nisekoi should be focused on trying to get the level 3 Onodeta out because it pluses you and it's 10/5 base. And you're paying 2 stock for that, so why pay 2 stock for this when you can pay 2 stock for something much better? So yeah, in general, the Seshiro, not that great either. Oh man, my voice kind of hurts. I need to get some water after this. But anyways, that is the leaks for this week. Lots of, I think, really interesting cards came out. Unfortunately, I think all the level 3s that came out this week are pretty bad. So essentially, we have seen every double R Nisekoi. All of them are level 3s of every girl. So every girl has 2 double R. Or every girl has 2 level 3s. They're all double R. And at least one of them heals. The healing ones aren't very good. This Tachibana I think is pretty bad. The Pendant Promise is good. I like this Mari. Komari, I like this card a lot. I don't know. Tsugumi sucks. Tsugumi sucks. Tsugumi sucks. I guess this card's cool. I don't think this card's very good. Onodeta's great. I think this card sucks. They think this card sucks too. I think this card sucks too. Saya's okay. This card's cool, I guess. Chitoge's cool. Chitoge's cool. Chitoge's cool. Don't know if yellow's worth it though. I like this Minato a lot. Mio sucks. Lastly, unfortunately, once again, Sugumi sucks. So yeah, unfortunate. I guess the pull ratio for Nisekoi is going to be quite difficult. Um, yeah, when I get my boxes, I hope I get the better level 3s than the ones seen today. But yeah, that is all I have to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys see some obvious strategy with the Capo stuff, the Little Buster stuff, the Persona Q stuff, please let me know. So that way, I can be more familiar with them, and the people in the comments, or people who see the videos who are reading the comments, can be more familiar with them as well. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this video, and until next time. Oh my god, 45 minutes. Anyways, I hope you guys watch all of this, but yeah, until next time.